Thanks, Radzi. Yeah, I think today is 3 words: an embarrassment of riches. Everywhere you look, quality snooker.
Thank you, the first frame.
A really good format, and at the end of it, we're going to have one very, very happy individual. Table 2, Group 2 in these semi-final stages is now underway. And we're underway here. John Higgins and Joe Perry get things started across the arena. There should be a potting battle between Zhao Xintong and the ultimate potter, Judd.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I'm really looking forward to this match because, for me, I think Zhao Xintong's an even quicker player than Judd is. Young 23-year-old from China, currently ranked number 34 in the world, and I'm expecting this young man to do great things in this sport in the next few years. Got a great technique, ramrod straight cue action, and he's a very exciting player to watch. Have you ever played Zhao Xintong, Sean?
Yeah, I played him a couple of times, actually, Dominic. Oh,
what?
Just a little slight misjudgment with the cue ball there, but happy to see the white stain on the table. Yeah, I've played him a few times. The matches don't tend to take very long.
What?
He's probably the most aggressive player I've ever seen. But he is exciting, as you say. I mean, look at that as a starter. There's not many players would have played that shot, particularly with Judd Trump following them. Just got down and knocked it in as if it was over the pocket.
4.
One small extra factor today just to consider is that I think for half the field who are playing today haven't played on the table they're now playing on.
5.
And I think that can possibly affect the outcome of games. John Higgins played yesterday on table 1. He's now playing on table 2. It might not sound a big deal, that, to the uninitiated, but it will make a difference.
Yes, because although the two tables are separated just by a few metres or so, quite often one table can play vastly differently to another one, even though they're only a few metres apart. And I've noticed that before, Sean, have you?
Yeah, definitely. It makes a massive difference. And it's a bit like, you know, centre court at Wimbledon versus court number 1 or court number 2. They're all the same, but there's just something different about the show courts, the show tables. Even you feel a little bit more involved in the event when you're on table 1. When you're playing on these multiple table events that we have and you're on table 7 in the car park, you don't really feel involved in the tournament. And the table's exactly the same, the balls are the same, but I think it's more the psychological thing. Could have expected better from that shot, hit them well. He's just pushed one onto the middle, so he's okay.
$21.
All players, of course, are individuals, but he reminds me greatly of Jack Lazowski. Same attitude, similar technique. And if it's worth anything, Lazowski's got a really good record against Trump.
23.
That's a good comparison to make there, Phil, actually, because I think both of these players are
24.
guilty of being rather unpredictable at times. Unfortunately for Zhao Xintong, he suffered a terrific kick there.
Yeah, you beat me to it, Dominic. We are actually going to see a little bit of that during this match. There will be kicks and there will be bounces off the cushions. Both of these players using a more traditional brand of chalk that we've all seen for a long, long time, causes more friction between the two balls on contact. The break only at 24, and we've seen the first kick, so expect more of that to come from these two today.
29.
Oh, lovely shot. Lovely shot. They're much more difficult than they look on the screen. Not much pocket to aim at from there. And now he plays the top spin into the pack of reds, trusting a bit to luck here. Again, he couldn't have really hit those any better. They've spread far and wide. This is a great start for Xintong.
37.
But that's gone astray. He meant to come on and off the cushion. I don't think he wanted to hit the red at all. He's lost the cue ball there.
And this is one of the great things about snooker, isn't it? I mean, Zhao Xintong has created this opportunity. He's had to nudge and wheedle the reds into position, cannon into the pack a couple of times to do that. But if he were to make a mistake now, he's done all the hard work for his opponent, Judd, and we know how he can score.
Zhao Xintong.
Absolutely, Dom. He's played a good shot there, putting the brown safe. A little bit of an insurance policy, but this is, we've made the analysis all week. This is the difference between a John Higgins style of break building, where you mop up the loose reds and take what you're given with the split at the end, or you open them early like we did there, and now you risk the counter.
Trump is well aware of Zhao Xintong's skill level. They've only met on one previous occasion, and it was a truly remarkable match. Second round, last 64 of the English Open. Trump won 4-3. He was 3-1 down, and he won the last three frames with breaks of 126, 108 and 109. Now that's a comeback.
Yeah, he's become one of the best front runners in the game, has Judd Trump. When he gets on a bit of a roll, he's close to unstoppable. Where's this red going to finish? Xintong wants that to kick on. Has done, got away with one there a little bit. And his 38-point lead could evaporate at pace. He needs to tread carefully.
Don't know about you fellows, but it just seems to me immediately the intensity level has been cranked up a notch or two.
Yeah, you can feel it, can't you? Even in the commentary position, you can just feel a certain atmosphere within the two players there in the arena, just how things are at the moment, and they're both very, very wary of each other. We see another tremendous long pot there from Zhao Xintong. Good position on the pink. But if he rolls this in, he's got to be very careful he doesn't knock that red in that's near the left-hand corner there. He may not be able to avoid cannoning into it. But that was an excellent red, it really was.
And good call, Dominic. He couldn't avoid it, you were right. He could have risked playing it ultra slowly across the nap, but we've seen those go wrong before, haven't we? So just took the extra points there and hoped, you know, trusted to luck a little bit, but Lady Luck wasn't on his side that time, and he just extends his lead to 45 points.
Zhao Xintong.
Yeah, I suppose the only good thing to come of that really is not that red that was near the pocket into a much safer position. At first glance, I played Zhao Xintong a couple of seasons ago. He had a fantastic match up in Scotland. He beat me 4-3 on a respotted black. It was a fantastic match. But he was a lot quicker then than he seems to be now. He seems to be a lot more sort of introspective, I suppose. A bit more thoughtful and caring around the table. And I don't know if that's something he's worked on or whether somebody's spotted something in his play and they feel he's a little bit too quick for his own good at times and he's slowed down because of it. I don't know.
Trump just can't quite get going yet, but that was asking a lot, that pot.
There we see. Didn't have to play that shot. Be lots of people now watching the snooker thinking that was him pushing the boat out too far. They're the decisions you have to make as a snooker player. Defence isn't his natural game. What's that mistake going to cost him? Judd actually tried to move the brown there. How's the flick on the black?
1.
Not great. They see the vision though, you see. The brown was the only safe ball keeping him out of the game. He tried to take it out, shot 1. Lots of players would have left that. But not the best start from Judd Trump here, it has to be said. Early days.
I do like watching Judd Trump break build. He has some very, I wouldn't say unusual ideas, but different to most. He really does hedge his bets sometimes positionally. As you say, definitely played to cannon that brown into play there, but he knows there are a lot of colours around and he sort of expects to be on one of them. And if it works out, he's given himself a frame-winning chance. I like that.
Goodness, he nearly missed that yellow. And because he hit the yellow into the left-hand half of the pocket, the cue ball hasn't tracked back. Watch the yellow, just in off that jaw. I'm not sure how that went in, to be honest, at that pace. I think the cue ball has just crept past the blue enough that he can access this cue ball to get to the red over the pocket with the rest. Yeah, just about.
Four.
There will be lots and lots of viewers in China for today. 2 Chinese players involved, and people like Judd Trump are very popular over there as well. And the great thing about this is that it's prime time.
That was poor, though, it has to be said. That wasn't a great shot. They were a big target, those 3 reds. Any contact on those 3 reds would have done.
Would you have actually, in potting the first red, Sean, tried to cannon into that trio of reds, knowing the black was over the pocket?
Well, that's the the difference, isn't it, between somebody with the vision of a Trump or other great break builders. They're playing those opening shots, aren't they, to try and get the table in the best possible position quickly, rather than waiting till the last minute. The black being over the pocket was a great insurance policy, wasn't it? And now he's had 2 or 3 good chances in this frame and he's still not over the line yet.
Zhao Xintong, 11.
Trump 55 adrift, 59 on. And he salvages so many of these frames.
What's the other factor just to consider? Obviously, with the COVID regulations that we're all experiencing, as we see Judd bang that long red in. Look at the pace he's played it with to come back for the blue. My goodness. Knew that a bolt colour was no good to him, trailing by 55 at the time. What a shot that was. And all of a sudden, alarm bells must be ringing for Xintong here. What I was going to say was that in these times we're living in with COVID and all the rest of it, all the players have to come here the day before and be tested and isolate. And so there wouldn't have been much practice yesterday for either of these players. And that'll have a bearing on things.
7.
And just get that little 10-15 minute warm-up backstage before we all come onto the stage, but that's not really enough when you haven't played for at least 24 hours prior. Here was the shot. Look at this, straight in the pocket, but it was the pace he played it at to come in and out of baulk, missing the green, back for the blue. Real Judd Trump special.
The red on the cushion, not best for a left-hander, but of course he can switch hands if needs be.
22. Judd Trump, 22.
He's okay right-handed, but nowhere near as good right-handed as O'Sullivan is left-handed. I think that is a vulnerability.
Well, it's become a very trendy thing to do, actually, in the game. I was just thinking that if you think back to when we first saw it, when O'Sullivan brought it out against Robidoux at the World Championships, it was seen as, you know, in some quarters as quite, you know, a rude thing to do. I never thought that myself. I thought it was quite a good thing, but, you know, some didn't like it. And now it seems to have become so fashionable and trendy. Everyone's at it these days. But you're right, certain players are better at it than others.
8.
Yes, I'm afraid when I try to play a shot left-handed,
10.
it has to be extremely rudimentary, to say the least. But yeah, I remember the days when Ronnie O'Sullivan did defeat Alain Robidoux and played the match predominantly left-handed, and of course Alain, in his interview, suggested it was rather disrespectful, but I don't think any of us realises how good Ronnie was at the time, playing with his opposite hand.
Well, I think in that match he played a couple of shots one-handed as well. This frame's over.
$13.
And normally first frame, okay, out the way and then get into the match. But in these best of fours, the first frame is a real biggie.
Zhao Xintong, 13, and the frame.
So Zhao laid the groundwork with a run of 38. Trump potted a couple of really good balls, but in the end, missing the red down the rail cost him dear. The Chinese potter is off to a flyer.
good break off from Judd Trump. He does have a very high success rate with that break off. Seems to leave that red on the side cushion more than most. Gets a good cue ball. He's put Xintong in a lot of trouble here. First shot. Welcome to the second frame.
Tough for Judd now, isn't it, to get anything better than a draw, having lost that first frame. He'd have to win the 3 remaining ones, and it's a big ask, especially when your opponent's won the first frame and is therefore more confident than at the beginning of the match.
And these are the shots now. This is probably where somebody like Xintong's game needs to come on. If he's going to play safe, try and hit these reds too thick. Thinner's always better on these types of shots. You don't want to be moving all those reds. You don't know where they're going to go. So don't play the thick safety. Play the thin one. Well, in fact, he actually played the single red. That's better than opening the reds everywhere, but he's way short with the cue ball.
What?
Oh, yeah, nice shot. No one really expected him to miss that, did we? But he struck that lovely.
Eight.
Not entirely sure if Judd played for the red that's just above the black, but he's nicely on it from his point of view, because he does like to play those forcing shots through the reds to develop a few more. He'll expect to be on the black, I'm sure, into the left-hand corner pocket here. No guarantee.
No.
Oh, it's just gone awkward. That's a little unlucky.
$16.
Just could have done with the cue ball travelling a few extra inches there. This red's still very potable and well within his range, but it's a little bit thinner than it looks on the screens.
$17.
Yeah, nicely played, and the cue ball just pulled up from almost identical position where it was a few shots ago. I think he can get to the cue ball this time.
$24. $25.
Bridging over intervening balls, as he's had to do on more than one occasion in this break. One of those things that Trump makes look so much easier than it actually is.
$30. $31.
has the opportunity here, if he wishes, just to go into the pack of reds. But if he plays it with too much backspin, he could screw off them and finish in no man's land. But Judd will know that. He's an expert at this type of shot. Realised the potential for failure there, so played for one of the loose reds at the back of the pack.
38.
Indeed, and knocking this one in opens up another
39.
into the opposite top pocket.
Yeah, a little bit short there. He played for the red to the corner. It was a bit of a dead reaction off that black ball there. But he's okay. Oh, it wasn't. Just far jaw. As I say, he actually played for the red to the corner. Wasn't on it. He didn't mean to play for that red. No, he definitely should have potted that red, obviously, but this was always far jaw. A very unexpected miss from Judd Trump.
One.
There we see perhaps where these younger players just need to learn a little bit of composure. Perhaps that's all they're missing. Nice pot on the black, but really, was probably surprised to come back to the table and came to the table in a bit of a rush, a bit of a panic. Didn't make sure of the red going in cleanly, getting good position on the black, and a chance to counter has only scored 8. That's a mental mistake. That's not a technical mistake.
Zhao Xintong.
It always amuses me when you see players with abundant talent who are youngsters make mistakes like that. You hear people say, oh yeah, but they'll learn. Not necessarily. Some don't.
I think as a youngster coming through the ranks in China, that you don't have a history of snooker in China whereby you can go to your club and play very experienced players and learn from them, which of course was the case for the British players. Well, snooker is such a popular game and has been for decades in the United Kingdom and elsewhere, of course. And I mean, when I was an amateur, and it'd be the same with you, Sean. I mean, we were practicing with players that knew the game more than we did as youngsters growing up, and we learned from them.
What?
You're absolutely right, Dominic, as we see another crushing long run. I suppose the balance here for someone like Xintong is when you can pot like this, perhaps you don't need to worry about the other aspects of the game, but if you want to take the game to the next level, which he's undoubtedly capable of, if he could just take on board those extra things, I think he'd see his game come on leaps and bounds, because he's got every shot in the book.
No.
Talking about having every shot in the book, what about John Higgins in the first frame on table 2 this morning? Joe Perry made the initial running. He missed one ball. He should have potted with his eyes closed. Higgins got in. Unfortunately, though,
16.
after this blue, the cue ball came close to the side cushion. Now, I know he wants to make these centuries because right now he's on 797 for his career, getting close to that 800 mark. But this one, I'm afraid, refused to go. Wasn't easy. A source of mild frustration. But the main priority was to win the frame, and he won it
17.
well. So John Higgins leads Joe Perry 1-0.
And 14 points behind now. It's all going to be about that red
24.
on the side cushion. It's on the right side of the table for him as a left-hander. So that shouldn't cause
25.
too many problems. What a moment this could be early on in the day, guys.
Yeah, didn't need to cannon
32.
into the two reds, because in potting this one to the right centre, it frees the other one up. As long as he didn't push it towards the pink. Oh, and he has. That could make things
33.
difficult.
Yeah, that's made this run to the line quite complicated now, because when does he try to move that red?
He underscrewed the last positional shot, you see.
40.
He should have been straight on the red, or just the other side of straight. And then he wouldn't have accidentally cannoned the other red that's pushed it towards the pink now. Oh, that was a kick, my goodness.
41.
Massive kick. Massive. We predicted it. You see here. Saw the red ball leave the bed of the table, took all the pace out of the cue ball.
I suppose you could say he was lucky to pot the red in the end with a kick like that.
Well, he's certainly lucky there. What a fluke. We've seen so many flukes of that nature this week, where
48.
a player jaws and goes across the cushion, either the bulk end of the table or the top, and drops in unbelievably.
Yeah, you know, I think that could be one of the little
49.
differences with these Rasson tables versus the star tables we use in other ranking events. I think they made the cushions around the pockets may just be shaped slightly differently, and that shot's on. But this is now vitally important. He hits the red here. Has he knocked it on? No, he hasn't. He couldn't afford to not hit the red there. He would have been in all sorts of trouble.
56.
But this is only just marginally better. So unlucky not to push the red on.
Yes, just when he wants a colour to be safe on a cushion somewhere. They're all in open play. Just the brown off its spot. He's got to keep this red safe. The object ball's safe, the shot's safe. Now where's this going? It'll be actually pretty good when it stops.
Zhao Xintong, 56.
This looks good. This is trouble. Even with the flick on the black, that's still trouble, because I think he can just hit the red. He can certainly hit it with a swerve, but he's going to be sending the red to this right-hand corner pocket as we look. Managed to hit it enough to get it to the side cushion. I've seen Judd trump pot these reds before. I'm not sure he'll be going for it today, but nothing would surprise you with Judd. There we are, what a great pot.
1.
Didn't touch the sides, so he's going to need another one here. These greens are smelly.
Horrible shots, aren't they? He didn't know en route to the pocket. The world number one didn't know. When he didn't know, no one would know.
4.
It was really borderline, that. I didn't think it was in, to be honest. He caught an awful lot of that near jaw.
6.
Sean was referring to the slight differences in these tables to the star tables that we're more accustomed to, and maybe we saw one of those differences there. Maybe that wouldn't have gone in, that tricky green on a star table. Difficult to say, but I didn't think it was in.
13.
He's 5 behind. He needs blue, pink and black.
18.
just
24.
stretching a little. Now this is missable. Off balance on the pink. Oh,
31 on the frame.
what a clearance from Judd Trump. And you know, it's just a fraction of an inch. But the green falling in there, that could mould the entire day. He's back on level terms at 1 frame each. Snooker is a game these days of flamboyance and fractions. We saw that in the previous frame. Great last red. The green, though, well, just another millimetre of inaccuracy there, and it would have remained on the table. As it is,
Thank you.
Judd Trump is back on level terms with Zhao Xintong, 1 frame each. All permutations still on the board. I can tell you, by the way, that John Higgins now leads Joe Perry by 2 frames to 0. Perry, as he did in the first frame, missing a couple when he was in the second.
Decent effort from Judd. He'll be disappointed to see the black finish where it has, because now Zhao Xintong can play the red to left corner any way he feels he wishes to, because that black's waiting for him from anywhere pretty much. Xintong dropped his cue there. It's a good job didn't fall against the table frame in any way. Could have easily caused a dent in it.
We talk about the established star up against the youngster who runs around the table. Well, the average shot time would suggest otherwise. 23.7 seconds for Zhao so far, which is slow for him. Trump's average shot time just under 20 seconds. And that pocket has been very kind to Trump now on two occasions. One, taking the green. Secondly, repelling that red.
Neither player really likes a situation like this where a McCullough is covering a pocket, because the tendency is to load the table that side as you fight for safety, but that can lead to a prolonged frame, which nobody really likes. Oh, got away with one there. Just caught the reds fractionally too thick. Kissed the red, nearly hit the bump of the middle, but I think he's covered this red with the blue. He has.
Such a risk playing that type of shot, though. He's always going to be pushing balls towards that left corner and potentially leaving a pot on for Judd Trump.
To be so careful in these situations. It's not just about getting the cue ball in a safe position, it's what are you going to leave? Potential doubles. He's had a little half attempt at the double there himself, but you know, in doing so he's left one on for Judd here now. The red on the black spot, doubles to the left centre. Not just about the cue ball in these scenarios. And it's just that black ball in that corner pocket that's causing all the problems here. It's in such an unorthodox position. It's causing the players they're having to tailor their shots around it and what they leave.
It was a good safety shot that Zhao Xintong's just played there. He's certainly given Judd something to think about here. Oh, but Judd has managed to remove both of the reds that were near bulk, and that's a very creative safety from him. Well played.
One.
Very well thought out shot. Played to perfection.
5.
Yes, he wasn't quite sure, was he, when the cue ball was going towards the third cushion, whether he was wide enough, but ultimately he was okay.
6.
This is all about getting the first cushion right. Once you get that contact with the spin, played that with bundles of right-hand side, the rest of the shot takes care of itself. He's lost the cue ball there. But he's probably the best player I've ever seen at this type of shot, this red. I hate these types of shots, but Judd pots such a high percentage.
14.
It's funny how some shots suit your eye, Dominic, isn't it? You know, certain shots you always struggle with your whole career.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Every player has shots they both like and dislike. The funny thing is, until you're a very experienced player, you sort of don't really learn to practice the shots that you dislike as much as the ones you like. Oh, that may well have worked out okay for Judd if this red and left corner's on.
19.
Switching to right-handed. Played very nicely indeed. Just wonder whether we'll see him make another cannon here on the cluster of reds, holding for the reds under the pink spot.
It was played nicely, but when he plays right-handed, to me, it seems unstable.
Yeah, I guess, you know, at the end of the day, it's not his strong hand, is it? But you know, it's not going to look as good as he does left-handed. But he's definitely able to mix it, playing with the opposite hand. Just played into an area there. He was anywhere down underneath the pink spot. He was going to be on those two reds there.
25.
I mean, in an ideal world, he would have liked to have gone an extra ball's width. That would have made position easier this time round. More right-handed play. Very nicely done. Found that gap through those reds and the pink. That was very nice. So he just threaded the cue ball through that gap.
33.
Any thicker on that red and he was break over.
$34.
Incorrect side of the blue. But when it comes to weaving the cue ball in and out of bulk, he's absolutely mustard.
$39. $40.
Well, the fact he's virtually dead straight on this blast, as you can see there, could cause Judd a bit of a problem. It's easy to play for the red on the top cushion, but to play for anything else won't be quite so easy.
There's another kick. Took all the pace out of the cue ball.
47.
Yeah, that's three demonstrably bad contacts now.
I mean, there's absolutely no question that, as I've said a few times, a lot of us now are using, you know, this new reduced friction brand of chalk. It definitely helps with kicks and bounces, but, you know, some players feel as if they're a bit more prone to a miscue. What a rescue shot that is, Judd. Great shot.
48.
When you play him, he must break your heart because he gives you hope and then he dashes it by potting brilliant balls such as that.
Yeah, but I guess the old saying is true. It doesn't really matter who you are. You can't keep going back to the well, can you? And eventually things do, even for Judd Trump.
53.
Eventually the well runs dry. And I mean, this has been a good break, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's over. That's risky to say with Judd.
Judd Trump, 53.
That was quite an interesting choice of shot, actually. It's trying to send that red up to bulk to make the clearance, the potential counter clearance, that little bit more difficult. It was quite unconventional, Dominic, wasn't it, to choose to take a red off a cushion in that scenario with the lead he's got. But by putting it up that top end of the table, it's kind of levelled it out a bit.
Yeah, the other thing, I suppose, the 5 reds in a cluster there, just around the pink, he didn't really want to move them because they're all tied up. I don't think he could see them anyway, so I suppose he had to play a safety from one of the 2 safe reds. It was a very creative shot from Judd, and he is a very creative safety player, there's no doubt about that. Very clever sometimes. When you think you got him trapped, he finds some way of getting the cue ball back to a safe position.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because in Judd's last 2 shots, he's removed 2 safe reds off the cushions. And with a 53-point lead, you know, there are certainly the people who I learnt snooker from will be screaming at the telly now, going, you can't move those reds. They must stay where they are. Play another shot. But I guess you don't have to, as long as you win the frame.
If Zhao really does feel trapped here, he could take on the red that's near the yellow pocket, because he could play for the brown. The only red he could possibly leave is this one he's taking on. Problem is, there is a likelihood that he would leave it. Oh, that's so unlucky. What a great effort.
And now from here, at this visit, Trump really should move ahead.
1. Six. 7. 12.
And just this red leaves Zhao leading snookers.
13.
Just a thought, if he were to capture the title today, Trump, it would take him over 600,000 points clear of Ronnie O'Sullivan in second place. So one thing's absolutely guaranteed, he's going to be world number 1 for quite some time.
21.
Nicely played, removing that red, knowing he would always be on the one
27.
to the corner pocket.
Foul.
Oh.
27 Judd Trump for Zhao Xintong. Frame Judd Trump.
Unusual end to the frame, but nevertheless, it's a frame very much to Judd Trump's liking. He started the scoring with 53. When he got his second chance, he pounced. Judd Trump is in front at 2 frames to 1. Judd Trump was 1-0 down against Zhao Xintong. Now he's 2-1 ahead, 1 frame remaining in this match. And if he were to win it, that would be a very agreeable start. You would think from Zhao's perspective, winning this frame, it's an absolute must.
Just think the difference so far, as Phil, has been the word composure. I think you look at somebody like Judd. Yeah, he lost the first frame. There was no panic at all. He just rolls on. Of course, that's, you know, easy to say when you're in his position. You're world #1, flying and picking up trophies every few weeks, and things are going great. But, you know, Xintong's had plenty of chances in this match and just hasn't had the composure to string them together. I know we talk about how great he is, you know, single ball potting and all the rest of it, but his mistakes today have been between the ears. And if I were in his corner, that's where I'd be saying, this is what we need to work on now. Because he's had his chances.
One.
And Judd would love to get down to that red underneath the black ASAP. From that he can get on the black and into the reds. He's got a reserve red waiting for him.
Four.
Well, what a performance from John Higgins to start the day. You can see there in the process of defeating Joe Perry, 3-0.
68.
Now, any win's agreeable, as I said, but to win 3-0, that's perfection, because it sets you up for superior frame difference if it is required. So Higgins, who began with a 98 break in the first frame, couldn't really
17.
ask for more.
10.
86 the frame on the match. John Higgins.
Finishing off with 86 there. Higgins 3, Perry 0. Next up on table 2, it's Karen Wilson against Ken Doherty.
11.
And decision time for Judd when he pots this black and the red underneath it. Will he split the reds off the black? Or will he play for the red at the bottom of the pack that's available and use it? Although that's gone wrong. So hold the front page. I don't know if he just underhit that or he played to cannon the red on the way through, but that is out of position.
I think it was a combination of a couple of things. I think he potted the black too cleanly, and the cushion, well, didn't really help him out there. Judd will probably still take the red on if he feels he can get onto a colour. He obviously doesn't think he can. Bit of a reprieve this for Zhao Xintong. He needs to start doing something now. He hasn't been involved in this match really for a good half an hour. It's all been Judd Trump.
It's always hard to tell if you've hit that too hard or too thin when the cue ball goes in and out of bulk like that, but he's been lucky. He's covered that red, but he has left the other one in the pack. Oh, and that's a monster fluke. Goodness me.
What about the cue ball running around the rim of the other pocket? Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is a mad game. It is a mad game. He missed the intended red. It came off 2 cushions, flicked the yellow in the middle of the table and into the middle pocket. And as you say, Phil, meanwhile, the cue ball did a somersault around the middle pocket and perfectly on the blue. It's not fair, is it?
6.
Mind you, in the 80s, all the pros used to say backstage, I wish I had Steve Davis's luck. In the 90s, they used to say, I wish I had the luck of that Stephen Hendry.
7.
Now maybe Trump's the man. It's amazing when you're the best, the luck goes with you when you don't really need it. Tony Drago was scared of flying. When he went to overseas tournaments, he wouldn't come back or indeed go there unless he knew he was on the flight
14.
with either Davis or Henry, because he thought they were lucky. It's true.
15.
I think the writing could be on the wall here, lads. I think this is going to be
17.
the match-winning visit. Very difficult to see this going wrong here for Judd. Doesn't have to play
18.
any complicated shots here, just has to keep the cue ball under tight control. It's a free run to the line.
Having watched Zhao in this match, I've been rather surprised. He just looks overly circumspect to me, too careful.
25.
Not what I'm used to seeing from him. He seems to have changed his game slightly.
26.
He hasn't really imposed his style of play on Judd. Although saying that, I mean, Judd was only a couple of balls away from being 2-0 behind in this match.
$33.
So Judd Trump on the way to victory here. Already with a victory under his belt is John Higgins in the other group. And just a moment or so ago, he had a little chat with our own Nick Teal.
34.
John, congratulations, the perfect start to the day.
Yeah, good win against Joe. Joe missed a few there. But as I said, if you win your first game, you're at least giving yourself a chance tonight when you come back. So, yeah, happy with beating Joe 3-0, absolutely.
Of course, you both played yesterday,
41.
but you feel you brought a little bit of momentum, especially with the way you won the group yesterday?
I think so. It's as if you get a dog's or a cat's life. That's the way I was looking on it. At one point last night, I was looking as if I was out. So, yeah, everything's a bonus from now on.
John, congratulations.
42.
Cheers, Nick. Thanks.
The cue ball didn't go through as far as he wanted. The kiss on the secondary red was a little too thick. And so, still some work to do to put this frame away.
He just needs this black though, doesn't he? So he doesn't necessarily have to play for the red. He could also put the black safe if he wished, and that would make things difficult for Zhao. Yeah, he's chosen to do that. Clever thinking.
Judd Trump, 42.
Not the most penetrating safety, and this is frame and match ball.
It's cleverly played, though, wasn't it? I know we're not, you know, it seems strange to say it of Judd Trump, but he has become the complete player. Where he left the cue ball, he wasn't leaving anything for his opponent. And that's been a major change to his game in the last few seasons, and I believe a massive part of why he's become who he is now. He still goes for all his shots. He hasn't stopped going for them, but he has started playing them in a way that he's got a little bit of cover in mind as well.
Well, Zhao knocking a red very close to the left-hand side cushion past the middle pocket. That wasn't recommended.
Sure, Judd could play the red that's near the pink spot here. It's match ball, and he could run the cue ball up towards the bulk cushion. I'm sure he'll take something on somewhere. He could also play the left-hand red of the two near the pink spot into the yellow pocket if he wished. But I don't blame him for taking this on. I actually expect him to pot this. No, long way out. Seemed to play that rather tentatively for me.
And that might be that. Began nicely, fizzled out.
One.
Yeah, and as I say, I've said it a couple of times. I think if I was in Xintong's camp, you know, I'd be buoyed by the type of player he is. He's a great player to watch.
Judd trump. One.
It's just in his composure where he just lets himself down at the moment. But he's still very young. He can learn all these things.
One.
There's nothing wrong with his technique.
Mind you, Judd should have put the match to bed there. The green, very surprising miss. So with the pink going in, Zhao is 54 behind with 51 on. He only needs one snooker.
Well, he'll probably need more than that. I can't see him being able to get on the black anytime soon.
8.
But I think he's probably accepted that fact, and he'll probably just pot this pink, another red, and another high-value colour, and just trying to get a free ball from the remaining red.
They're in great positions, though, Dominic, aren't they? They're good positions for snookers. Certainly the yellow and the brown up there. That line of colours through the middle of the table. So all's not lost here.
Zhao Xintong 8.
It is now.
Conceded. Frame of the match. Judd trump.